morning. My name is Jeff Shalau and I work for the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension in Yavapai County. We're talking about fruit tree pruning today, and I'm going to demonstrate some different techniques that we would use to prune deciduous fruit trees. But before we do that, something about the place where we are. We're in Chino Valley, Arizona, and that's at about 5,000 feet elevation. It's an excellent area to grow deciduous fruit trees, but it has its challenges, of which we'll talk about some today. Apricot and plum trees are kind of an in-between between apples and pears and peaches and nectarines. In that they require, well, I believe they do best with an open center pruning. They produce on short little spurs, and so the spurs are something you want to pay attention to. And then they don't require as aggressive a pruning as a peach or a nectarine tree do either. One of the things that they do tend to do is grow outward like this, and we'll see a couple that look like that. And so what you have to do sometimes is just thin out all of that upward broom-shaped growth and give it a little space. I've reduced the height of two of the tallest branches and now a third one by using a heading cut, which I try not to do, but we're trying to direct that growth outward again and slow the height growth. I'm also going to remove the one sucker that's on this tree. It's gotten pretty long. Again, it's not a sucker, it's a water sprout, excuse me. I'm going to remove the one water sprout on this tree. And again, these water sprouts take a lot of energy in producing a lot of wood and fiber, but really they sap energy away from fruit production. So we really don't want water sprouts unless they're in a place where a desirable branch would be. The last thing that we'll do on this tree is remove all the suckers. Now these suckers are actually growth coming from below the graft union off of the rootstock, and again, it's an undesirable characteristic. We don't want to sap energy away from the tree on non-productive wood, so we will remove those as best we can. Pear trees are one of the trees that can give you some challenges because some of them, such as the one I'm standing right next to here, just want to go straight up into the sky with no regard for branching out and getting broader. So the best you can do under those conditions is to try to find opportunities where you can find an outwardly growing branch that you can train it to go further out away from the trunk. And that's what's been done here, here, and in a few other places on this tree. The other thing that can be done sometimes, and I'm not a huge proponent of this, but I show it once in a while, is to train the tree. And you can buy manufactured little spreaders, but I just happened to make this one out of a piece of prunings that I was cutting off earlier. And the idea is that you find opportunities on the tree to spread the branches out, and you hope that these spreaders will stay in place over the course of the season. Now the cooperator at this orchard says that the wind is pretty strong here and they probably wouldn't stay very long, but it's something that's worth a try. Another thing you may do is to just weight down the branches, say with jugs of water or some other weight, making sure not to damage the tree in doing so, but to try and spread it. This is an apple tree, a Granny Smith apple tree. It's probably about 20-some years old, and it's had a lot of varying care over the years, but several years ago we got in here and we cleaned it out and kind of opened up the center of it. It is tending towards being it's wanting to be a modified central leader. This would be the modified central leader right here. But also it's tending towards being an open center, and you could make an open center out of it very easily. The cooperator we're working with on this particular orchard wants to keep the apples and pears as modified central leaders. So again, that means there will be a tall central leader of which scaffold branches will be coming off, and that is contrasted to the open center or vase shape that we use with peach trees and the other stone fruit. When you're planting an orchard, you have to buy young trees and plant them, and I highly recommend buying bare root trees and planting them during the dormant season. Here, I believe the best time to plant is late January and into February. But ask your own local cooperative extension office if you think you have different conditions. I don't have a young tree to demonstrate pruning, how to do the proper training today. I have this apple branch in my hand, and let's pretend that it's a young tree, and I'll describe what you need to do. So if my hand is the soil level, and you've planted the tree with the graft union above the ground, most young trees will have a few lateral branches like you see up here. And on this example, they're spurs, but imagine that they're young lateral branches. I would go up about 24 inches and head the tree. That's if you want to make an open center tree. You make that heading cut right there. And then what happens is the 3 buds, or 4 or 5 below that point, will break and form your scaffold branches. And then you're well on your way to having an open center pruned tree. We've talked a lot about different kinds of fruit tree pruning techniques and a few additional challenges I'd just like to wrap up with. We have a lot of insects and pests that like fruit trees, and so I can't go into those right now, and wildlife as well, deer, porcupines, rabbits, all kinds of things, girdling trees. You have to manage for those if you have those present. And then what you really want to do is pick out fruit trees that are well suited to your area. So although this video is not the platform for really selecting trees, you're going to want to look at chilling requirements and then check in with your local extension office as to what appropriate chilling hours are for your area. Late frosts can also be a challenge in this area. So planning for later blooming species, later blooming varieties is also probably going to help you out. We can often get a frost in our area in early June, and when that happens, we might lose the fruit crop, or the fruit might have set and it might actually be able to tolerate those low temperatures. But getting the right chilling requirement and the right location is another important factor. Beyond pruning the fruit and managing your trees, you're going to want to think about proper irrigation and fertilization, as well as thinning the fruit at the appropriate time if you get a fruit crop. When you find yourself needing more information, remember you have a local cooperative extension office that's waiting there to serve you. So make sure you go and visit there and get to know your county agent.